If you receive my weekly email or if you follow the church's Facebook page, you're going to notice a difference in Sunday's message versus what we posted or what I sent earlier this week. Originally, I thought we would touch on Romans chapter 7, verses 1 through 12, but I've cut that in half because I didn't figure people wanted me to preach for an hour or more. So we're going to be looking at verses 1 through 6 from chapter 7 this week, and then verses 7 through 12 next week. In this week's passage, we see Paul use marriage as an example of being bound to someone else. In the previous section, at the end of Romans 6, he talked about slavery and being bound in that way. But here, the example is about marriage, and specifically about a woman being bound to a man. Now, I realize that a man and a woman are bound to each other, but that is true in our day, and it was true of the Roman culture, but it was not true of the Jewish culture, which was the main group that he was writing to at the time. And that'll be covered more in one of the daily videos next week. But Paul's focus here is not about marriage. It is about the law. His intent is to talk about the law, and not just any law, but specifically the Mosaic law. As such, he uses the Jewish understanding of marriage that a woman could not divorce her husband. And again, I'll share a little bit more about this in one of the videos next week. But Paul's point is that by death, when the spouse dies, and in the example that he uses, when the husband dies, that allows the wife to be released from her obligation to that man. She is released from being bound to that man. And that is true really with relation to a person being held captive in slavery in general as well. So the same principle applies to the law, just as we saw in Romans 6, now in Romans 7. And the truth is that God has given us a path to choose freedom. But that freedom, that choice comes at a cost. That cost to be free from the law either takes place when a person dies physically, or when the person gives up of themselves to die spiritually so that they can receive a new life, and in the example that Paul is using here, a new husband. So this week we're going to explore that idea a little bit further, and then we are going to prepare for the beginning next week of one of the most debated passages in all of the Bible, and that is, who was Paul using with the word I, meaning like I myself, and was he talking about his own life as a Christian, pre-Christian, and then as a Christian, etc.? We'll be looking at that through the remainder of Romans chapter 7 in the coming weeks. I hope you'll check us out on Sunday.